Hey, Dad, Uncle Steve, I see you there. Well, thank you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I see Uncle Steve. I see the Majesty. Rob Hova's with us. Jeff Goldblum's Silent Farts finds a way. For reals, Jeff, I'd love to buy you a beer, brother. I see Danny's with us. Good morning, sunshine.
Hey, speaking of irony, Danny got me this mug. I kid you not, Danny, as a gift.
You know, I wish I'd have thought of it because I've got one too.
However, if Danny were to get you a mug as a gift now, it would have Dave Landau's face on it.
It would.
Danny has very strong feelings about the exact number of ways Steven Crowder can go honk himself. So
let me set this up real quick. I'm gonna be frank. I don't want to talk about the subject. I find it gossipy and obnoxious. But
here we are.
Here we are. Here we are indeed. And there are some important things to cover that are not the gossipy, obnoxious garbage, but are sort of the importance of the fallout of letting your bullshit. If you don't wash your clothes adequately before you hang them out to dry, your odor becomes the neighbor's problem. Right? That is why we don't air dirty laundry. So, I'm gonna let Cameron give you the summary and cover the details of what's going on with Crowder and all that. Because frankly, I don't care enough to follow it. I am, however, deeply concerned about the fallout.
Okay, so there's two pieces to it. There's the Dave Landau thing, because it was weird, right? Was Dave coming back? Is Dave not coming back? Dave says he might come back. Crowder says he's definitely coming back for at least one or two more shows, and then nope, not gonna happen. It all falls apart. Crowder comes out, does this long interview with Michael Malice, and in that interview...
You mean Landau?
That's right. Landau does this long interview with Thank you. Landau comes out, does this long, hour and a half podcast.
Because that shit was about to get confusing.
Right. This hour and a half podcast with Michael Malice. And they both have similar humor. They've both known each other for a long time. Like, some of the jokes they made at each other's expense were blisteringly cruel, so you could tell how good of friends they were. So Landau makes some pretty outrageous claims, and yet the way that he said it, the way that he told it, it had a high degree of credibility. He came across as though he was being sincere, and one of the things that came up is that Crowder was jerking him around over a contract, and of course, Crowder's whole big thing was stop Big Con, is because the Daily Wire, was trying to push people around with shitty contracts. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff about like what time Dave had to be there and how often Dave was allowed to promote his own shows. And there was a lot of stuff. And Dave was very, very nice about it and sort of gave the impression of he actually still wanted to be friends with Steven Crowder, or maybe not anymore, but like this is how he felt that he got stabbed in the back by buddies. Okay. Now, speaking of the Daily Wire and Crowder and his Stop Big Con, of course, Candace Owens is one of the people that came out and just opened up on Crowder, both barrels, like went on Timcast's show and basically called him a bitch that just needed to learn how to negotiate a term sheet. Said some things on her show that, in retrospect, I think pretty clearly refer to Crowder's divorce. She had some very much, oh, bless your heart, we're going to make sure we pray for some Jesus for you. But in that really passive-aggressive kind of way, said things like, I know some things are going on in your life, Steven. Maybe you should just chill. In a retrospect, it is pretty obvious that she was threatening him. Somehow she knew about his divorce before he announced it on his show. I think that's pretty clear. So then Crowder makes the stupidest fucking mistake of when he announces his divorce, and his divorce announcement hurt me a little bit. I've been through a messy divorce. No matter what kind of a piece of shit you think Steven Crowder is, I promise you don't want to be in his place right now, because I have been, and it sucks a lot. But he made the stupidest mistake of bringing Candace Owens into the divorce announcement. And Candace is Candace, so she fires back, threatens to sue Steven Crowder, and also threatens to bring Steven Crowder's ex-wife onto her show to tell her side of the story. And I'm actually gonna quote the quartering here. So, guys, stop it. We need to get back to the Bud Light boycott. It's not too late to back down from this fight. I don't anticipate either one of them doing that, because that doesn't seem to be who they are. But
agreed.
But it's not too late to back down from this fight. And so there we go. Crowder's getting divorced. He seems bound and determined to have a blood match with Candace Owens and anybody else. I don't know what it is about Candace and Crowder. There's something personal there, man. There is.
Andrea's Rural Kitchen, who, by the way, welcome. I think I've seen you in our comments once before, but I'm thrilled to see you with us this morning. Says, honesty is a pillar of recovery, so I believe Dave. That's actually a pretty substantial claim to make, Andrea, and I appreciate you making it, because that's something that Dave has been very open about in his stand-up shows and on his time in Third Chair on Crowder. Dave Landau is an addict. He's a recovering addict, right? You never stop being an addict. That's part of the mantra. I smoke cigarettes. Technically I am an addict, but when we're talking about like alcoholics, serious hard drug addicts, the kind of stuff that Dave Landau went through, and Andrea is pointing out that honesty is a pillar of recovery. So I believe Dave. That's a very valid and significant claim, because you're talking about somebody who has a severe condition whose, it's not really treatment, it's more disciplined control, requires a very specific, and I won't even necessarily argue that the that the traditional mechanism is the right one, but it is the one that is available, and it's the one that Dave is engaged with. But it requires a very specific and intentional active management. And that honesty is a pillar of recovery thing. That's a big deal.
And I would also agree with that. It's a thing in therapy called integration. You don't stop being an alcoholic. You integrate the parts of your personality that give you the propensity for alcoholism, and you accept it as part of yourself. And that requires honesty. And
there's a reason that the activity of integrating the shadow is a major recurrent archetypal theme in essentially all of human mythos and legend and just the basic mechanics of storytelling. It's something that we understand deeply, psychologically, and naturally to be an important facet of psychological health.
And yes, that is a woman that we both respect has actually had me read books about the shadow self and to incorporate that. So Landau also said something that, and this is the thing that really pushed his credibility for me over the top, because it seemed like a genuine and true statement.
Was it the time he got locked up?
No. I'm going to paraphrase what Landau said. He said, Stephen reminds me of someone who's been bullied and bullied and bullied, and now has turned around and become a bully himself in a self-defense kind of way. That's not exactly what Landau said, but that's close enough to what Landau said to where I promise it counts. And when you look at the fact that there are some other employees, and remember when Candace started going after Stephen, she threw out things like, hey, anybody heard from Not Gay Jared recently? And
now, in all fairness, I'm pretty sure that Sven Computer got deported by Obama because he was the wrong color of immigrant.
Okay, maybe, but if this is a thing, like, okay, first of all, what kind of a divorce are you going through? Like, because any divorce with children is tough, especially if it's protracted and ugly. Man, I can't help but think about, so Gerald's CEO now, and Crowder turned down a $50 million deal. That's, that has a whole different flavor to it now. And then you couple that with all the other things that you've heard about Crowder being a control freak, right? Because it's not the first time this has bubbled up. Alex, man, come on, man, give me some freedom here. Alex says, really, when she went after him, do you guys not remember how this all started? When I say went after him, I mean,
yeah, we do. We covered that.
Yeah, I mean in the colloquial sense. I thought Crowder was in the wrong with that whole thing. Made it very clear. So when I say when she started to retaliate against him, she brought up.
Good morning, dear.
Thanks. She brought up stuff from like Not Gay Jared and stuff like that. So just to bring it all back around, the story could be that Crowder's been going through this long protracted divorce and he's going crazy because divorces will make you crazy. I'm sorry to say, I know they will make you crazy. Or Crowder is actually a giant, hypocritical, egotistical piece of shit. And while that may be true, the fact that he and Candace Owens are about to destroy each other, I don't think helps. I think it might happen, but I don't think it helps. You wanted to make sure that the 11th commandment was included in this discussion.
What we're looking at right now this is the only reason Cameron was able to talk me into even discussing this topic this morning. Because this is e-celeb drama garbage that I'd rather not discuss. But we're seeing big voices on the right engaged in basically a very public civil war, and all that does is feeds into the enemy's narratives. I'll take you back to January 6th real quick. When January 6th happened, we had some good back and forth on this show, making arguments about the optics and all the like, and I made some claims that I still stand by. Like, you know, basically it looked very much like what happened there is that people were engaged in a lawful activity, and there were some people that got out of hand, but even the people who didn't get out of hand are being treated badly. And Cameron pointed out rightly that something that we have to be concerned about there are the optics. It's not fair. It's bullshit, but it is true. It is the fact that if you are doing it in the name of leftism, if you are a dude in a dress, or if you pull on a black mask and you go set a cop car on fire, that is political activism. If you are a grown-ass man with a wife and kids and a job who pays taxes, and you say, I'd rather you not try to chop my kid's dick off, that is stochastic terrorism and right-wing extremism. And Dad says, what we're seeing is the result of a successful psychological operation by the left against the right. And you are absolutely correct. That is what the meme war that we talk about on Mondays is all about. It is the activity of psychological warfare being conducted against the citizens of the United States of America by the alphabet soup agencies of this country. Now,
keep going, but give her top comment when you come back. That's
and Alex says he screwed up his personal and professional life. It's his doing, and he has to recover from it. He's not doing a good job of that. The boy left a big wake behind him. Yes, 100%. Yes. That said, I think the infighting being aired so publicly is, basically they're breaking the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not attack a fellow conservative. And I am not a total adherent to the 11th commandment, but it's kind of a good baseline. And here's the problem with the 11th commandment is we are covered up in conservatives in name only. People who wave the banner. Nikki Haley. We talked about Nikki Haley this morning.
God, that was so cringe.
And this is a perfect example, right? I want to say that the 11th commandment should be sacrosanct, that we should support each other and be in each other's corner.
No, Nikki Haley's trash.
Exactly. But Nikki Haley is flying the banner as a Republican.
Oh, God.
And what did she say? We're conservative, but we're not assholes about it.
We're not sanctimonious. It was she thought she was being clever because it's Ron de Sanctimonious. It's like,
isn't that cute?
Yeah. No, Disney, you can just come to my state. Whoa there, honey, you are not Who told you this was a good idea? Anyhow, but yeah. Okay, here's the difference though. Nikki Haley didn't have much of a shot anyway. She's not really in the culture. Once you step outside of South Carolina, nobody gives a shit about Nikki Haley. People do care about Crowder. As I said yesterday, Crowder's Change My Mind segments actually have penetrated bubbles.
Yes.
He deliberately penetrates bubbles with them. Candace Owens, a decade ago, believe it or not, was a BLM activist who thought doxing the racist was a good idea. And she is a full-blown convert now who works for the Daily fucking Wire. There are some bubbles that can get penetrated here. The reason why it's uncomfortable to see this with the people in the online space going after each other is it is It's the refuge. We already accepted that CNN and Fox News and ABC and all of them are trash. And then our even beloved talk radio started to turn against us more and more. And then Metallica Madness 85. That is a fantastic name. Metallica is the greatest band ever. Screw you Beatles fans. You're wrong. But now we've got the last place, and it's attacking each other. We're all backed into the same collective corner. And just like every zombie movie you've ever seen, the problem is not the zombies outside that want to come in and rip you to pieces and convert you into their collective against your will. No, the problem ends up being each other. Bunch of big swinging dick alpha personalities. Everybody wants to be the big dog, the top dick, whatever. And then we start kicking the shit out of each other. And flaws that we could have tolerated, even found a way to love a person alongside of, now suddenly become fodder, become things that can be used against one another. I don't blame Candace Owens for being pissed. I really don't. But inviting Steven's wife on to the show, like, oh my God. But listen, that's how you don't just drag down Steven Crowder with that, but like you make the Daily Wire look worse as well. Like I promise, like Matt Walsh saw that and went, no, Candace, no, please don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. So the infighting's a problem. No one profits from this except for the enemy. And I really don't have anything else to say on the subject.
I have a theory, and I hate to put this fear, and this is a theory, but going and looking at the whole thing, look, I'll put it out there, and if I'm wrong,
I'd rather you didn't.
Look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay? I think there's some infidelity mixed in with all this. This is so personal for people. This whole, girl, come on my show and tell your side of the story. Yeah, what comes after that head wag 9 times out of 10? He ain't no good. He was out there running the streets with other women. And look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but just based on the way Landau was very careful with his comments and specifically made sure to tell Michael Malice, I'm only talking about Crowder's physical health. Right? And in looking back, it's kind of weird that he'd be so specific about only mentioning the physical health. And then how angry Candace is, and maybe I'm wrong, like I said, but I would not be surprised if there's infidelity in the mix somewhere. And I do think that's one of the few things that could sink Crowder. Like his whole brand is based around, being the conservative Christian male. And
a big part of his brand is that he and his wife were both virgins until they got married.
Is what now?
That he and his wife were virgins until they got married.
They claim. Have you seen pictures of his wife?
No.
Dude, Jesus Christ. Yeah, like dimes on top of dimes. Like, yeah, I'm sure they were virgins. Sure, I'm just pure as the driven snow. Okay, like...
So,
but maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Crowder is at his lowest point, and he can either actually practice the Christian ethic. So you know what, guys, I'm sorry. I've been in a terrible place. I am repenting. I love doing Louder with Crowder. I want to continue to do Louder with Crowder. Or he could fight with Candace, and I don't think he's in a good position right now. I just don't. So there you go.
All right. All right, that's all I've got for you. Y'all be safe out there, and we'll see you for Firearms Friday tomorrow.